What's going on, guys? This is Tower number 9, and we have a League best of 3 here that I'm about to play. We have the sideboards, we have all this. It's gonna be my Vader green versus a Boba green. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so my Vader green deck is pre-sideboarded. It's basically pre-sideboarded to fight against aggro. That's why we see cards like this Consortium Star Viper, which is really an anti-aggro card. Against a Boba Green, which is more mid-range, I'm probably going to change that. This opening hand's pretty weak. I could keep this and hope to force choke his starting unit, but there's a fair few starting units that are going to be there are a fair few starting units that are going to be immune to that. Either, we could see a space unit, we could potentially see a droid, though I guess it could, yeah, Viper. Well, no, Force Choke works on droids. It would be so a space unit, a vehicle. There aren't really starting vehicles, but we could see a crafty smuggler's shield would protect him from the Force Choke. In general, Force Choke start just isn't very reliable. Okay, so we have these Consortium Star Vipers. I think. Yeah, I think we just resource the Star Vipers. They're not really very good in this situation. Kind of for a different matchup. Now, if my opponent leads off with like a mining tie or something, the Star Viper might actually be tight. But okay, so my opponent plays the Seasoned Shore Trooper to Gust 2/3. While you control 6 or more resources, this unit gets +2 power. So I'm trying to make this game go long. I am going to be kind of in the control route by default. I'm going to play the Viper Probe Droid. I get to see my opponent's hand. So we see Resupply, Cartel Spacer, and a 7th Fleet Defender. Okay, I'm happy that I resourced those green guys. Um, okay, so my opponent takes the initiative. I'm going to draw up. Okay, so we have Disabling Fang Fighter. Okay, so the obvious thing to do here, the Fang Fighter is probably the only unit here that I can play. So if my opponent goes for a resupply, if my opponent goes for the resupply, then I think I just play the Fang Fighter. If my opponent goes for the if my opponent, well, let's see. Yeah, so I think the Fang Fighter is probably going to be my play either way. So if my opponent resupplies, I can play the Fang Fighter and have a unit in space. If my opponent plays the Defender, I can play the Fang Fighter and knock off its shield. Let's see which way my opponent goes. Look, ooh, looks like it's going to be an ECL play. So that's actually a new unit. Ooh, okay. So lucky draw there for my opponent with a super laser tech to ambush in from ECL. That's a very strong play. Under the circumstances, we are going to, let's see. I could force choke that trooper. Um, I could, yeah, we're gonna just force choke that guy, get him off the board. My opponent will get a resource or will get a card, and I don't know if he's going to have I don't know if he's going to have anything to do with it. We'll see if he has like a 2-drop. If so, I can ping it with Vader. Yeah, it's going to be the Cartel Spacer, and then Vader's ability used on that Spacer. So that's going to be 1 damage there and 1 damage there. I arguably should have just taken the initiative because I could have then played the Interceptor instead. Yeah, I think that would have been better. So a bit of a mistake by me. This is going to give him a chance to attack with his Cartel Spacer potentially, instead of just having me intercept it. On the plus side, though, we have prevented any damage to base at this point. The minus side is mostly that my opponent is going to get Boba on the field this turn, and I don't have an immediate counter. Um, we're going to have to see what I can do there. I'm hoping to draw some of my ramp, but I haven't seen the ramp on my side of the board just yet, which is a little unfortunate. I have a lot of space units here. Probably I can do Imperial Interceptor this turn. Next turn, maybe tie Advanced buff the Interceptor. I don't know. That doesn't seem great, but you know, definitely not feeling awesome about my current position in this game. With the opponent seeing ramp and me not, that is not typically where you want to be in this scenario. But we're going to have to see how it develops. Um, you can call me Al does have the initiative. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have used Vader's ability on that last turn. I should have just taken initiative, which would allow me to use this interceptor immediately and prevent potentially 2 damage from that cartel spacer. But we'll see what Al chooses to do with his resources here. I probably need to stay out of the ground arena, but that's convenient because the only ground thing I have is Agent Callus. Yeah, there's that 2 damage. Could have prevented that. Misplayed that last turn. Interceptor now will come in and clear the cartel spacer. But if I had just taken the initiative, I could have done this initially. I would be -2 damage. Yes, my opponent wouldn't have 1 damage on their base, but the focus for me really needs to be on preventing damage, not on dealing damage. So that was a mistake, and we'll see if it ends up costing me. I'll take the initiative. Um, Unfortunately, this is a relatively weak turn for me. I did clear my opponent's spacer, and I got a unit on the board myself, but Boba is currently able to hit me pretty easily in the ground arena, and I don't have a lot that I can do about it. So 4 damage in the ground arena. Okay, crafty smuggler. And then, yeah, we're gonna see the Seventh Fleet Defender. Okay, so I can potentially counter Seventh Fleet Defender with my Fang Fighter. Ooh, this is not a great hand. Okay, so I can. Let's see. So high priority is that I need to get that shield off. So I can really do 2 things in space. I could do tie advanced, but it makes a lot more sense to do disabling Fang Fighter because that will knock the shield off the defender, preventing it from getting a free 2-for-1 on me there. So now if my interceptor and the defender fight, it ends up being a trade instead of him just killing me. And then I can also play the Viper Probe Droid to get something down in the ground arena. However, still not seeing those ramps, still considerably behind. Also, don't have a copy of Overwhelming Barrage, and my opponent might. A barrage at this point could clear both my space units. I'm winning the space arena, but that could easily change. Ends up being a shoot first. I'm actually happy to see this. So my opponent uses a shoot first and clears out my interceptor. The thing about that is, at this point, I want us to be having unit fights here. Okay, so I see. Ooh, that is brutal. Barrage and Fet's Fire Spray, two of the best cards my opponent could have. I'm feeling incredibly behind at this point. So this is, yeah, this is super negative. My opponent can play Fet's Fire Spray this turn, do a lot of damage to my base, and I just haven't seen the answers that I would need to respond to that. Luckily for me, my opponent is taking these baits and killing these units. That is absolutely what I want him to be doing. Um, and so this situation could be a lot worse if my opponent was pressing to if my opponent was pressing to attack the base instead. I would be in a far worse situation. But this hand is just brutal. I am not seeing the things that I need. And I think even though the situation is a lot better than it could be, it's still going to be a loss. Um, don't have an answer to Fet's Fire Spray here. I can stall him a bit, but it's not gonna pan out, I think. Um, that's okay though. They can't all be wins, and we'll see if we can get him in game two. So Seventh Fleet Defender will take out there. I'm trying to just minimize my losses, get as much as I can uh, but it's basically already over. Agent Callus picks that guy off. It would probably be better to play Subblock Guard, but I don't have a good follow-up to playing a Subblock Guard. Whereas with this, it's a really bad scenario though. Yeah, so he goes for a barrage, and that's game. Okay, brutal game. No ramp, and my opponent had heavy ramp, and no barrage. My opponent had the barrage. No counters for his key stuff there. The good news is we're going to get to sideboard, and we're going to get to change this deck configuration. So we're going to be taking the Consortium Star Vipers out, um, and we are going to be adding. Let's see here. Okay, so max firepower is a good option. We have Devastator, which I don't think I actually want here. That's a bit too heavy. Um, let's see. Do we have other weird aggro stuff? The question is, I think we want our Emperor Palpatines in. So I'm currently playing Relentless. but I think I don't need that here, and I'm going to need those Emperor Palpatines instead. So having cut the Star Vipers and the Relentlesses, added 3 Emperor Palpatines, and the maximum firepowers, I'm thinking that should be a good configuration. Let's see if we can get the win in game 2 after a tough game 1. Okay, so this is looking like a pretty good hand. It doesn't have any ramp. I might want to mulligan just because it doesn't have any ramp. Yeah, we're gonna try. So I have like a pretty natural progression of cards. So I could do Yularen, Cell Block Guard, Callus. The problem is without ramp, I'm really worried that I'm just gonna be outcased again. So we're actually gonna mulligan for ramp and see if we can get it. No ramp in this hand either. We do have a wider array of early game plays that might be valuable. Um, okay, so we're going to let's see. What are his starting plays? So I probably don't want the Viper Probe Droid because it loses to a Crafty Smuggler opening. So we're going to resource the Viper Probe Droid. Seasoned Shore Trooper or Colonel Yularen are both better against a Crafty Smuggler opening, as is the Death Star Stormtrooper. The TIE Advanced and Imperial Interceptor are giving me some good late game options. I think I'm going to, so I can start with Yularen here. Yeah, I think we're gonna resource the basic Death Star Trooper. We can start with Yularen and then go from there. Yeah, so we will start off with Colonel Yularen, 2 cost 2/3. When you play a command unit, including this one, heal 1 damage from your base. My opponent has a seasoned Shore Trooper. This is an advantageous matchup for me, so I'm happy with that. Because I'm going to be able to. Ooh, nice, and a resupply. Okay. So I think in this situation, what I do is I just go for the resupply. Or wait, do I want, hang on. Do I want to the question becomes, do I want to resource my second resupply? So if I use the first, I think I actually just want to double ramp here, which means that we probably resource the seasoned short trooper. Okay, so this turn I'm going to, so first off, I'm going to take this attack. The reason for that is that I want our units to be trading. And if I do it this way, my opponent will get less value out of a potential shoot first, which we know he's playing from the previous round. So he used a shoot first to take out one of my space units with his defender. If he had that here and I had done the resupply first, he would have been able to get a lot of value. I don't have an immediate Vader ping play to get rid of his shore trooper, which would be nice to have. I could have done that if I had gone with the shore trooper of my own, but I think I want to keep the resupplies instead because ramping is so important to Vader. I really want to get Vader onto the field quickly so I can start dominating the game. So my opponent opts to do damage to the base. That's unfortunate. In the previous game, he was more focused on trading, but I think going for the base is correct. So the resupply that I have is going to ramp me closer towards my endgamey stuff. We'll see. There's a chance, of course, that he'll have a resupply of his own, or he'll have an ECL super laser tech. Yeah, there's a resupply from him, so he's also ramping. Unfortunately, I really don't want to see him ramping, but he is, and we're gonna have to figure out how to deal with it. There's another resupply, but this time I'm actually gonna resource this because I'm not gonna be able to use it in a way that gets me Vader faster. I can only play if I had drawn one of those as a super laser tech, I could actually deploy Vader this turn. This is a combo that Thork showed me. But I'm not going to be able to do that. So what we're doing instead is we're probably just, let's see here. Yeah, we're probably just going to play this resupply. That is the only thing I get this turn, but I think it's worth it because then next turn I can play Vader, which is pretty strong. Okay, so we'll lead off. We'll take the trade, get that Shore Trooper off the field, and prevent some damage to base there. I do wish one of these resupplies had been a super laser tech, but that's not the way it was. So there's the resupply, up to 7 resources here. Or I'm sorry, up to 6 resources here. Will be 7 on the next turn. The Yeah, and the cool thing about this is I am going to be able to deploy Vader on this next turn. If I had had a super laser tech, it would have been a lot better because then I could have done super laser tech ambush to kill that guy and heal one with Yularen, and then that resource would be readied, and I would have played a villainy unit, which would allow me to use Vader's ping. But you know, not the way it lined up, and that's okay. All right, so we have Emperor Palpatine. That's going to be a huge play next turn. This turn we could either do Darth Vader. Um, we could also potentially do TIE Advanced or Interceptor plus Colonel Yularen plus a Vader ping. But I think I want to deploy Vader quickly. So we're probably not going to do Yularen here. Let me think about that. Oh, you know what we'll do? Our first play will just be Darth Vader to kill his Agent Callus. Okay, so we're going to resource Yularen. And then this will potentially get me another unit anyway. So 7 resources, Darth Vader ambushes and kills Callus. So then search the top 10 cards of your deck for any number of villainy units with combined cost 3 or less and play each of them for free. So we're going to search the top 10. So it's 3 or less, combined cost 3 or less. Nice. So we're going to get a cell block guard here. That's going to prevent some damage to the base. And then that is exactly 3. This other stuff gets shuffled and put on the bottom of the deck. Shuffling that all up. Bottom of the deck. And we now have a cell block guard in position to protect the base from Boba. So if he wants to push damage to the base and then play like Fet's Fire Spray, for instance, this cell block guard is going to impede him. So that's a very positive development in this game. I'm very happy to see Vader show up, and bringing a cell block guard is extra helpful. Boba has a shoot first to take out the cell block guard. Okay. Honestly, I consider that fine. He gets to stand his resource back up. I'm gonna deploy Vader. So Vader can attack into Boba and kill him, but my opponent, of course, has No Good to Me Dead. There's a very high chance of that against these decks. No Good to Me Dead is sort of a staple card for them. The good news is by playing No Good to Me Dead, he now isn't in a position to do Fet's Fire Spray this turn, which would otherwise be a problematic play. Um, so for my part, I can do, you know, we might do TIE Advanced to buff the, yeah, I'm trying to think of what the best way to handle this is. Ooh, my opponent doesn't have another play. That's very favorable for me. Wow, we have another Vader here. I kind of wonder if I should just, yeah, I'm gonna have Leader Vader just charge into, or Unit Vader here can just charge into Boba, and then I can play another one and defeat Boba. And if my opponent has Fet's Fire Spray, I can clear it with Palpatine or with an ambushed Interceptor. Um, Surprise strike into the base. Okay, so that's gonna be, let's see here. Okay, so I think I maybe pass. No, if he has Fet's Fire Spray, he can do that. So what we're gonna do is Vader kill Boba. Vader takes 4, search the top 10. If he has Fet's Fire Spray, he has it, but I get to kill it on the next turn. So then we're going to get, once again, Cell Block Guard. So once again, shoring up that arena. And then these cards go to the bottom of the deck. I do note that I have now seen 2 of my overwhelming barrages are going to be in the bottom 20 cards. But I believe I've only seen 2, which means I should have another barrage uh, coming up in this next 14 cards. So Cell Block Guard on the field. Opponents may well have a Fet's Fire Spray here. Looks like he's considering taking initiative, though. That's interesting. Wow, okay. I guess he has an unlucky hand. Okay, this is looking very favorable for me now. I still have the energy conversion lab. I still have, yeah, and I just drew that other barrage that I was talking about knowing was coming soon. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 resources. So I can, if I resource this Viper probe, it does allow me to do some fancier plays. So we're going to do that. Right now, I'm feeling very positive about the position that I'm in this game. So my opponent, if he has Fet's Fire Spray, I have multiple options that immediately kill it. So he could play Fet's Fire Spray, and I hit it with an overwhelming barrage that immediately kills it from either of my Vaders. He could play Fet's Fire Spray, and I could ambush the Imperial Interceptor into it using ECL and kill it. I could just play the Emperor and kill it. So I have ample answers to Fet's Fire Spray, which is really his main, probably his main out for these sorts of situations. Yeah, there's Fet's Fire Spray. So we're gonna just take it out with Emperor Palpatine. So when played, deal 6 damage divided as you choose among enemy units. Fet's Fire Spray now off the board. If he has another one, I have a bunch of answers. And I think I have lethal next turn. So all my units attack into the base, and we're going to pass and draw up. Okay, so now I have a maximum firepower. That's another Fet's Fire Spray answer. We're going to. I have 9 resources. I could go to 10. 10 doesn't actually get me anything. We're just gonna sit at 9. Okay, so he says GG. Yeah, this one's basically over. My end game kicked in, and I was able to clear out his plays without too much difficulty. So ultimately, a solid victory there for the Vader command deck after sideboarding and losing the first round. That time, my opponent did have ramp, but so did I. I actually had two resupplies. And while my early game was a bit awkward, they got Vader out quickly, and I was able to stabilize with the ramp and with the powerful Vader unit. So now we're going to go into round 3. No sideboard changes. My opponent will be going first. Immediately, I'm keeping this hand. Just immediately. The first thing I see in this hand is resupply and super laser tech. That's a great start on its own. I also have a Viper probe droid and a seasoned shore trooper for initial starting units. So I feel like this is going to put me in actually a really good position to fight in this game. So we're going to resource the Viper Probe Droid, and I guess we resource the open fire over the cell block guard. I think the cell block guard is more helpful here, even though I'm going to be trying to use my ramp pieces instead. So opponent leads off with a seasoned shore trooper, and I'm going to make the exact same play. Initiative taken for my opponent. Now we could see here a shoot first to kill off my trooper, which would be annoying, but I would have a great response myself with ECL Super Laser Tech ambush into Vader's ping. So even if he has that shoot first for the nice takedown of my early unit, I have a very solid response waiting in the wings. Now, if I want to push my luck, I could play the Super Laser Tech normally. I don't think it's worth it, but that would allow me to threaten the turn 3 Vader deployment combo that I've done a combo explainer on earlier in the channel if I draw another super laser tech. Uh, my opponent's disconnected here, so we're gonna wait a bit. But yeah, so the first game was pretty brutal. The second game was a very strong win, and I'm gonna promote my opponent here just in case he needs to delete things or whatever. So I'm resourced. My opponent is still in the resourcing process when he disconnected, I think. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. Yeah, first game was pretty brutal for me. Second game was very strong for me. Third game, I'm optimistic given my hand, but it's not over yet. Okay, my opponent does a basic attack. I'm going to attack his unit here. So this is reflective of the differences in our different states. So my opponent is the beatdown, I'm the control. So he is trying to close the game he's trying to close the game before I get to my end game and beat him. And I am trying to okay, so he goes super laser tech ambush, very solid play. But the thing is, I'm going to be able to do the exact same thing. I could resupply here instead, which would allow me to. Um, so the thing is, Now I have to super laser tech ambush here to get his unit off the board and save that damage. There's an argument that I should be using, what's it called instead? Okay, nice. And then he deploys a crafty smuggler. I'm going to use Vader's ping, knock the shield off the smuggler, and deal a damage. I was worried that I was going to waste that ping, but I ended up being able to get value out of it. Okay, so opponent takes the initiative. I'm going to draw up another super laser technician. So I would have actually been able to deploy Vader this turn if I had gone for the combo. That's one of those little things that can happen. A little unfortunate for me that I didn't end up getting it, but you know, I thought that it was probably better to go for the more reliable play. So we're gonna resource. I think we resource the super laser tech here. Well, let's think about that. So if I play the super laser tech, I don't have ECL. So if I had ECL, I could do the ambush. I don't have the ECL. So I think we resource the super laser tech. The question is it better to play Yularen plus resupply? Yeah, I think we do Yularen plus resupply. Okay, so opponent has the initiative. I'm gonna play Yularen, that'll heal a damage from my base. The resupply is guaranteed, the super laser tech isn't guaranteed. But I could have gone Yularen plus super laser tech, and maybe the extra point of healing makes that better. I could also play the cell block guard here. No, I think I want to just resupply. So now Vader comes out next turn. But I am now thinking that I should have done Yularen plus Super Laser Tech just for that 1 point of healing, because 1 point of healing, that can be the difference between alive and dead. So my opponent plays Jabba the Hutt. This is the first time that I've seen this unit actually played in a real game. Actually, that's not true. I think I'd seen him in some draft games. But this is the first time I've had him played against me. So my opponent gets to search the top 8 cards for a trick event, reveal it, and draw it. And each trick event that he plays costs 1 less. So this might so tricks that he's likely to play are shoot first and waylay. There's some chance that he's playing Asteroid Sanctuary, but it's kind of redundant with No Good to Me Dead, so there's a good chance my opponent is not playing it. And then we'll see. Then there's also Bamboozle is a trick, but it's not really a card that would be in a deck like this because so while Bamboozle is a trick, it is a heroic card, and its upside is being able to be played for cheaper if you discard a cunning card. So the only real thing that he would be doing that would use the Bamboozle, in my opinion, would be a the only thing that he would be doing that would use the Bamboozle would be if he wanted more exhaust effects. I guess it's also a soft counter to upgrades, but it's a soft enough counter that I don't think you're likely to run it just for that. And then it creates a dynamic where if you have okay, so my opponent pulls, oh, I guess he missed. Or no, okay, he's making two separate piles, so he didn't miss. Waylay. Okay. So Waylay is a much less good card, I think, than Shoot First overall in this situation. My deck isn't really one that's very vulnerable to Waylay. Um, but he does have that Waylay. So Boba here could attack the base or could kill Yularen. Killing Yularen prevents me from doing future healing, which is probably good for my opponent. He also gets 2 resources, but I don't know if he has a good thing to spend those resources on. The main thing that I'm worried about here is that my opponent has a significantly stronger board than I. I do get Vader next turn, but there's a good chance that he'll have a No Good to Me Dead to exhaust Vader. If that's the case, I'm going to need to hopefully draw some bigger stuff of my own. I'm hoping to see that green Vader, the Palpatine, the overwhelming barrage, stuff like that that can help me fight for the board more. So I'm going to take the initiative here, and my opponent could not waylay Yularen. He could attack Yularen and kill him with Boba, but if he does, okay, so he does go for the kill. And that means that he gets his 2 resources back. That probably means he's going to play another unit this turn. I'm kind of happy because he didn't put damage on the base, but it also means, that he has another unit. And it's a 7th Fleet Defender. Not great. Ooh. And I'm missing out on the cards that I most want to see here, which are some of those really big, powerful endgamey units. However, I can deploy Vader. So Vader is a big and powerful endgame unit all on his own. I probably want to keep the cell block guard. The interceptor, so the Fang Fighter and the interceptor do similar things in this situation, but they cost the same, um, or they cost more or less. I think we want to actually resource I think, yeah, I think we want to resource the Fang Fighter, which is a little narrower. So this turn we're going to lead off by deploying Vader, of course. And then my opponent has a good chance to have a no good to me dead, which would shut down Vader. If he doesn't, I'm feeling pretty good. If Vader gets to attack, it's better to have the interceptor because I can use Vader to strip the shield from the opposing defender, and then kill it with the interceptor. So my plan this turn is deploy Vader, and if my opponent has something to stop Vader, I can do if my opponent doesn't have something to stop Vader, I can kill Boba and the defender. Or I can kill Boba, strip the shield from the defender, then kill it with the interceptor. If my opponent does have something to stop Vader, I can play out my cell block guard to hopefully limit the damage coming in the ground arena. I'm a little worried because my opponent does have a strong board, even though I've deployed Vader. Okay, nice. He doesn't have a. Okay, so he has a barrage. Barrage is a decent card here, but it doesn't really save the situation completely. So he can do 6 damage here. And okay, so he's done a big chunk of damage to Vader, but that also uses all his resources for the turn. So what I can actually do here is I can trade Vader for Boba. He only has one resource. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna bring out the cell block guard here. Yeah, I don't think he can do any damage to Vader through not with one resource. So we're going to bring out the cell block guard. So the cell block guard can stop Boba from attacking the base directly at this point. Unless he has a, oh no, you know what? He could have a shoot first. Yeah, well, if he has a shoot first, I've at least absorbed an attack from Jabba or one of his other units. Um, so what I would ideally like to have happen in this situation is the cell block guard. Okay, yeah. So he's charging into the cell block guard. So what he's going to try to do here is, so what I have to think now is whether I want to. So if I have Vader attack Boba, Vader will be defeated by Boba, but he will put Boba into lethal range. Um, yeah, the problem is though, I have to double attack. No, you know what we'll do? We'll pre-play the interceptor to knock the shield off of the defender. So by doing it this way, I'm gonna force my opponent to show his hand. Because if he attacks with Jabba into my cell block guard, I can then attack with Vader and use the on attack ability to clear Boba, and then we have a relatively stable state. Um, if he, we'll have to see what he does. So Vader can now attack and pick off the defender, as well as doing 5 damage to Boba, but that would allow Boba to deal 6 damage to the base if he uses Jabba to clear the cell block guard. So in order to avert the 6 damage to the base, okay, so he takes the trade there. Nice. Okay, this is really good for me. So now we're going to go with the straightforward. So we're going to go with the straightforward kill play there. So Vader just kills Boba. This means that my opponent is not going to have the ability to get more resources this turn, and it means that his Jabba can kill my cell block guard, but it's a situation where um, I'm going to take the initiative now. Yeah, so this is a situation that I think is overall pretty good. What I need to do now is draw my later game stuff to counter potential Fet's fire spray. We're not immediately seeing it here. This turn we have, let's see, we have 7 resources. So what we can do is Seasoned Shore Trooper, ping Jabba, ambush him with Agent Callus. That's probably going to be the play. So we resource this. So what we're gonna do is, yeah, Seasoned Shore Trooper. My opponent could use that waylay that he has for 2 to bounce the Seasoned Shore Trooper, but it doesn't matter because I've still played a villainy card this turn. So Seasoned Shore Trooper, Vader ping, kill Jabba with Callus and draw a card. Ping. And now we're in position for that ambush. The main thing that I'm worried about now is Fett's Fire Spray running rampant. And what I need to do to counter that is draw Emperor Palpatine or another TIE Interceptor. Um, or draw, actually, Maximum Firepower would also be a good counter here. My opponent spends 2 resources. That's happy for me. Yeah, okay, small guy. And then Callus ambushing Jabba. Callus takes out Jabba. So then Callus has, when another unique unit is defeated, you may draw a card. So that's going to give me a card draw. Nice, an Interceptor. So that's a soft counter to another Fett's Fire Spray. I would like to draw a hard counter, but a soft counter is okay too. That card draw from Agent Callus, pretty clutch here, I think. My opponent has 5 resources and I guess doesn't have Bosk or something like that. So ends up just taking the initiative. I am going to pass, draw up. Okay, still no direct counter. This is a bit problematic. We're not going to resource at this time. I can play Colonel Yularen to heal my base for 1, which is good. Obviously, killing my opponent's Seasoned Shore Trooper is a high priority. I probably want to kill it with my Seasoned Shore Trooper to keep my Agent Callus on the board and potentially draw more cards if we see more unique units defeated. So I can play Colonel Yularen, heal my base for 1. I can play my Death Star Trooper. If my opponent does have a Fett's Fire Spray, I can play the Imperial Interceptor to deal 3 damage to it, which will then leave it on 3 life remaining and allow me to clear it with another Interceptor. I would really like to see, max firepower. There are other cards that I would like to see more than I'd like to see this stuff, but that's okay. We're going to Shore Trooper trade. So just get, I'm trying to keep the board small. I'm trying to draw into my counters for a Fett's Fire Spray, which is really the main threat to me at this point. Um, I suspect my opponent didn't have one earlier because he would have already played it, but he very well could have drawn into it. 3 resources. Okay, not a Fett's Fire Spray. Ooh, nice. We see a Boba Fett Disintegrator. I'm going to be able to kill that and get a resource, assuming he doesn't kill my Callus somehow. So we'll play Colonel Yularen, or kill it and draw a card. So Colonel Yularen heals my base for 1. I'm going to play out my Death Star Stormtrooper, use Vader's ping to deal 1 damage to Boba Disintegrator, and then defeat him with Agent Callus, which will draw me a card. It will also defeat my Agent Callus, which is unfortunate, but I think it's worth it to get closer to my counters for a Fett's Fire Spray, which my opponent again doesn't have, very luckily for me. Amusingly, if my opponent still has that waylay, they could waylay either of my units, but it would arguably be beneficial to me to do that because I could just replay them, heal and heal again. So if he waylaid Callus, I couldn't attack Boba with Callus, but it would put me in a position where I could then it would put me in a position where I could replay Callus, heal 1, hit Boba for 4, and then potentially kill him next turn. Looks like he might take the initiative, which is honestly really good for me if he does. I'm thinking he might not. Yeah, okay, he takes the initiative. Great, excellent. So I'm gonna play Death Star Stormtrooper, use Vader's ability to ping Boba, and then Callus kills Boba. I draw a card, and I draw Emperor Palpatine. Great, excellent. That is just the type of thing that I need. That gives me a very strong counter. And at this point, I could play out my Interceptor. I think it's better to pass. I think it's better to pass. Nice, another Emperor Palpatine. Okay, I'm feeling great about this situation. So at this point, 3, 4, 5. I resourced a resupply. I have 9 resources, so I can play Emperor Palpatine and still use a ping. If my opponent hits Fett's Fire Spray, I can instantly kill it. If my opponent doesn't have anything relevant, I have 5 damage per turn in the ground arena. I am perfectly happy taking these attacks in the ground arena and just waiting to try to get the blowout with Palpatine. Oh, I think he has something. Okay, he's got a Callus of his own, so he kills my Colonel Yularian, and he's going to get to draw a card. That's nice for him. That's convenient. I'm going to take the trade. He can't play Fet's Fire Spray this turn. He plays a Cartel Spacer, perfect prey for my Imperial Interceptor, and then takes the initiative. I will pass, draw up. I'm totally fine playing this one slow. I have the advantage now. I have Vader here and Palpatine here and the Death Star Stormtrooper. I have great responses to potential threats from him, and I am happy to kind of play this one slower. So he does an Asteroid Sanctuary, so he is playing that. I'm going to play a small play here with a Death Star Stormtrooper. That develops my board, and then I still have the resources for a counter. Yep, and there's Fet's Fire Spray, and I saved resources for the counter. Emperor Palpatine clears Fet's Fire Spray off the board. So, opponent takes the initiative. I'm going to draw up. Overwhelming Barrage. Excellent. I'm feeling very confident about this game now. I'm drawing my answers. I can just start putting pressure to his base. Even if he has another Fet's Fire Spray, I don't even have to lose the Emperor Palpatine that I already have on the board. I can just hit him with Overwhelming Barrage. So I'm feeling very confident about this game now. I think I've stabilized, but we'll have to see. No good to me dead. Okay. Emperor Palpatine exhausted for 2 turns. Could be worse. Annoying, but could be worse. I'm going to go ahead and make an attack with my Death Star Stormtrooper. At this point, I can just have my small units start chopping away at the base. Second Fet's Fire Spray. Overwhelming Barrage on the Emperor. Get the Fet's Fire Spray off the board. Opponent takes initiative. Interceptor into the base for 3. And we'll play a Cell Block Guard. And at this point, I can use Vader's ability to damage one of my own units, so I'll do that. So damaging my own Interceptor and dealing the damage to his base. We're just putting some more pressure on. Okay, so I have Palpatine still exhausted, but I have a strong presence in the ground arena. I can play a second Palpatine to clear Fet's Fire Spray if he plays another one. Okay, so he has one of those. I am going to... I think I just start pressuring his base. So I can do 3 damage there. Okay, he has a barrage, so he's going to use that to clear those units. Okay. That is annoying for me, but not fatal, I think. I'm going to play Vader. Doesn't get an ambush, but I do get to search my top 10. And we're going to bring in another Cell Block Guard. So I now have, what is that? That's 11 damage to base. Okay, so I actually have lethal this next turn if he doesn't have any disruption. He takes initiative, Vader's ability to ping the shield off and deal 1 more damage, and now I have lethal. And we'll draw on up. No good to me dead on the Emperor again. Okay. Um, base for 5. Asteroid Sanctuary exhausting there. He's fighting. Um, he's dying hard at the very least. I do think he's dying. Um, I could force choke my own cell block guard to draw a card. No, that's not worth it because Emperor Palpatine's still. I think I just take the initiative. Arguably, I should have passed there. I think it would have been better to pass, actually. Yeah, it would have been better to pass. Waylay on Vader. Okay. Yeah, so my opponent is fighting desperately to remain in the game, but is getting some results. I'm gonna draw two. Really like a max firepower here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so I can play Yularen. Yeah, so I can play Yularen and then play Vader to heal. So base for three. Colonel Yularen, heal my base for one. 5 resources for Callus. Okay. Clears the cell block guard. I will counter with Vader killing Callus, taking 4, healing 1 from Colonel Yularen, searching my top 10, and we're going to bring out. He says GG. Yep, GG. We did it. That was a. That was yeah. He says just making you work for it. And I said, "You really did, yeah." He was making me he was making me work for it. He was not just gonna lay down and die. So my opponent fought hard. Ultimately, though, Vader's endgame was superior. I was able to get there and get the win. So yeah, that was a cool set of games. First game I didn't get the ramp stuff. Wasn't really able to stop him. He just raced by and took me out. Second game and third game though, I was able to get the wins with that ramp tech and Vader's strong end game. My opponent did make me work for it, but I got there in the end. Okay. Exciting games there. I'm gonna be happy to upload this footage. I think these were really cool games. And yeah, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Thanks to you all for watching. I will have a link to my Darth Vader command deck list in the video description below. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll be back later with some more Star Wars Unlimited content. I will catch you guys later.